तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातां सहगणा रघुनाथां वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु भयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्मिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशितारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। We'll chant the invocation prayer for Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayo Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Okay. So today I've been ordered to speak something on one of the prayers of Srimati Kunti Devi, and it will be verse number 40 for today. So Canto 1, Chapter 8, verse number 40. So I will read the verse 3 times, and then if devotees would like to repeat, it will be really pleasing. Okay, the verse is Ime jana vidhaha supakvaushadhi virudaha vanadrinadi udvanto hedhante tava vikshitahi. Ime jana padhasvidhaha supakvaushadhi virudaha vanadrinadi udvanto hedhante tava vikshitahi. Ime jana padhasridhaha supakvaushadhi virudaha Vanadrinadi udvanto vedante tava vikshitahi. Would you like to answer? Yeah.
Imejana pada shridva supat kwausadi viruda vanadri nadi udvanto hedante tava vikshitai.
Thank you. Would you like to recite the verse?
Ime jana pada shraddha spagvausa diviruddha vanadrinadi uddantvanto hi edante tava vikshite.
Thank you, Paramataji. Thank you so much. Any other devotee would like to repeat? Okay. Thank you so much. I will read the word by word. Ime, all these. Janapadaha, cities and towns. Sriddhaha, flourished. Supakva, mature. Aushadhi, herbs. Virudha, vegetables. Vana, forests. Adri, hills. Nadi, rivers. Udvantaha, seas. He, certainly. Edhante, increasing. Tava, by you. Vikshitahi, seen. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All these cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance. The trees are full of fruits, the rivers are flowing, the hills are full of minerals, and oceans full of wealth. And this is all due to your glancing over them. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Human prosperity flourishes by natural gifts and not by gigantic industrial enterprises. The gigantic industrial enterprises are products of a godless civilization, and they cause the destruction of the noble aims of human life. The more we go on increasing such troublesome industries to squeeze out the vital energy of the human being, the more there will be unrest and dissatisfaction of the people in general, although a few only can live lavishly by exploitation. The natural gifts such as grains and vegetables, fruits, rivers, the hills of jewels and minerals, and the seas full of pearls are supplied by the order of the Supreme. As he as he desires, material nature produces them in abundance or restricts them at times. The natural law is that human being may take advantage of these godly gifts by nature and satisfactorily flourish on them without being captivated by the exploitative motive of lording it over material nature. The more we attempt to exploit material nature according to our whims of enjoyment, the more we shall become entrapped by the reaction of such exploitative attempts. If we have sufficient grains, fruits, vegetables, and herbs, then what is the necessity of running a slaughterhouse and killing poor animals? A man need not kill an animal if he has sufficient grains and vegetables to eat. The flow of river waters fertilizes the fields, and there is more than what we need. Minerals are produced in the hills and the jewels in the ocean. If the human civilization has sufficient grains, minerals, jewels, water, milk, etc., then why should it hanker after terrible industrial enterprises at the cost of the labor of some unfortunate men? But all these natural gifts are dependent on the mercy of the Lord. What we need, therefore, is to be obedient to the laws of the Lord and achieve the perfection of human life by devotional service. The indications by Kunti Devi are just to the point. She desires that God's mercy be bestowed upon them so that the natural prosperity be maintained by His grace. I'll repeat the words once again. Ime jana padha sviddha supak vaushadhi virudaha varadrinaddi udvanto hedhante tabavikshitahi. Jai. Okay. So this was number 40, and we are near the end of Srimati Kunti Devi's prayers. So the previous verse and this verse are kind of a combo. If you see the previous verse, Kunti Maharani says, "O Gadadhar, Krishna, our kingdom is now being marked by the impressions of your feet, and therefore it appears beautiful. But when you leave, it will no longer be so." And this verse is a continuation of the previous verse, in which she explains, or she tells that how based, because of the impression of the feet, because of your presence, what is the effect in this material world, in per se, so to say. What is the effect of your presence in this particular in this world? So yeah, so here's a very nice description of how can we be materially happy. Kundevi gives a very nice description of how can we materially be happy. And we read so many things. We have enough jewels, minerals, milk, abundance of rivers, flowing water, so many things. So very, very nice description of how can we be happy materially. These are all description of material happiness. Sriddha means very flourished cities and towns. So now if you say how is it flourished? Supak Vaushadhi Virudha. So we should have Aushadhi means herbs, we said it. So the herbs and plants and trees and creepers, they're all luxuriously grown and sufficiently supply the needs of the human being. So every plant and creeper is useful for human being. We know that. We do not need, we do not know how to use them. Just like we have so many, there is still so many undiscovered, so to say, species of plants or herbs or plants there, which we can actually use. Back in, at least in Ayurveda, we use these herbs and different medicinal plants to create aushadhi, to create our kind of medicine. So we may not know all of them right now, right? So we do not know how to use them. But experienced men, they collect so many aushadhis. They collect because they are trained in the aspect, maybe by reading the Ayurveda text from itself, and they have the know-how of how to use them. General people, populace may not know, but they're experts who know how to use them. So this is a very verse in the sense, Baushadhi lataloke jayate paramam hitam. We're neglecting these herbs and vegetables, but because we do not know how to use them, we have to meet so much bill of the doctors. Right? So just because we don't know some part of course, we're not saying that doctors are not useful at all. Of course, they're useful, but neglecting the natural resources available, right? We can actually fully dependent. We can be dependent on the natural herbs for healing process, and to of course, modern medical science complements this. It's not a supplication. We are not just replacing them, but the natural products and herbs are doesn't have enough kind of extreme side effects like modern science may have. But yes, so we don't know how to use them, and we should uh, approach expert people who have the know-how of using the herbs and medicines. So Krishna's arrangement is complete, right? When Krishna, even in Bhagavad Gita, if you see the third chapter, Krishna says, this verse basically comes in the 13th, 12th or 13th verse of third chapter. The cycle of sacrifice is given. And before that, actually, Krishna says, "Oh, I'm sending all the living beings, all the creatures, and along with that, I'm sending sacrifice, the ingredients for sacrifice, so that you may be happy." So Krishna is so kind, even though we turned away from him. We are saying, "Hey, we don't want to be with you. We want to be enjoyer. We want to be Krishna." Okay, so Krishna says, "Are you sure? Yes, we want to be Krishna." Okay. So even though we rebelled against him, he's so merciful, so kind. It's okay. You're going, at least, I'll provide some things for your maintenance to help you. How merciful can that be, right? If you rebel from your father and say, "No, I want to be independent, I have to go." I'll say, "Okay, at least take the 1,000 rupees with you. Okay, go." That's how merciful Krishna is. So Krishna's arrangement is very complete. And this statement, Krishna's arrangement is very complete, can be is explicitly shown, or it can be seen from Shisha Upanishad, the invocation prayers. I'll just read the invocation prayers. It's beautiful. I just love that. Just open it up again. So it says, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Avashishyate. Translation is absolutely a gem of translation by Srila Prabhupada. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he, Krishna, is a complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he still remains the complete balance. The complete and whole. Prabhupada just dances this these words so beautifully. So whatever Krishna has given, even though this is the material world, because it's part of Krishna, it's Krishna's energy. So as Ishmael is mentioning, this is also complete in itself. But when we say complete, we may have a different understanding of what complete means. Oh, is it complete to give us enjoyment? Oh, but I don't say enjoyment everywhere. No, this complete has different meaning than our usual meaning. So here, complete means, or we'd say, is complete in itself, or it fulfills the purpose of its existence. Means it fulfills the purpose of reforming us. Because that is the whole job of this world, of this material world, to reform us so that we can go back to Godhead. So it definitely fulfills that purpose. But it may take some time for some people. For some people, it may not be quick. That may differ, but it does fulfill its purpose. So Krishna's arrangement is perfectly complete, and it's perfect and complete also. So Krishna has given everything. There's no question about that. So although we may have come to this world for undergoing some tribulation on account of our rebellious attitude towards Krishna, that's what we're told. We have come here definitely because we have some rebellious attitude. We didn't want to be under Krishna, we wanted to be Krishna. So there can only one controller, there can only one master. So Krishna is the Ishvara, supreme Ishvara. And we wanted to be little Ishwaras. And get jealous, we got envious of Krishna. So now Krishna, we are meant to be serving Krishna, but we rebelled. Why shall I serve Krishna? I shall serve my senses. Why to become Godas? Why to become Goswami? Fully control senses and serve Krishna only. I want to become Godas. Very, very weird statement, right? I want to become Godas. I will serve my senses. I don't want to serve Krishna. So I shall remain independent without Krishna. This is the whole problem. This is a whole, miscalculation on our part. I want to become independent of Krishna. I don't want to serve Krishna. That is not possible. So without Krishna, there is no question of happiness. Without Krishna, there is no question of happiness at all. Because when Krishna comes in the center, as I mentioned, right, when we invite Krishna to our house, when we invite Krishna to our heart, it's just like Krishna is keeping his lotus feet in the house. Krishna is keeping lotus feet on our heart. And I just said, Kunti Mara is mentioning, what happens with the presence of Krishna? Everything becomes abundant, everything becomes amazing, because Krishna is all auspicious. How can there be inauspiciousness when the all auspicious personality is there in the house, or is there in the heart? Everything becomes auspicious, absolutely. If you think, oh, I invited Krishna, but I'm still seeing so many things, then it can be other, because we are still, part of token karma. It can be that, or we're not praying properly. Because Krishna, there's nothing wrong with Krishna for sure. Something from our end that's missing the part. So Krishna is all auspicious, and just by his presence at home, in form of deities, or we do deity worship anyway, inviting Krishna by reading Srimad Bhagavatam at home. There's Krishna himself. Or inviting Krishna to your heart by properly regulated sadhana. Everything will be auspicious in our body as well as in our house. Or anywhere, just chant. There's a whole program of Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nagar Sankirtan, just reverberated the entire atmosphere by holy names of Krishna. So there's no question of happiness. It's called ignorance, avidya. And one of the root cause of all our material problems is avidya. So I had a beautiful quote. The root cause of all our problems is improper chanting. And the solution to all our problems is proper chanting. Right? So without Krishna, there can be happiness. And if you think there can be happiness without Krishna, that is ignorance. And there's a beautiful verse in this regarding Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's in Madhya Lila, chapter 20, and verse number, I think it's 116, I think it's 117, I'm not sure. It says, Krishna bhuliya jeev. Krishna bhair mukha, bhogwancha kare, nikada samaj padya dhare. Okay? And no, that is, sorry, this other verse is 117 is, Krishna bhuliya se jeeva, anadi bhair mukha, ata eva maya tare, deya samsara dukha. Now what this verse means is, there's something like our only fault is that we have forgotten Krishna, we have come to enjoy this material world. Material enjoyment means sense gratification, as I mentioned, Godas. That's all. That is all this material world. And spiritual world means there is no sense gratification. Only Krishna satisfaction is primary. There's no sense gratification on the living entities in spiritual world. The only goal is to satisfy Krishna. And by satisfying Krishna, they get satisfied. Krishna tushte, Jagat tushte. Right? And Krishna is happy, everyone is happy. Just like watering the root of the tree. What is the root of the tree? The entire tree gets nourished. You don't have to pour water on each and every individual leaf. Just satisfy Krishna. That's the whole philosophy, that's the whole purpose. Prabhupada came. Just satisfy Krishna. Don't care about anything else. Satisfy Krishna, he will provide everything. Prabhupada says, what do you think Krishna is a miser? He is the proprietor of the entire universe, entire cosmic manifestation. Do you think he will not provide you if you are actually serving him, he will not provide you for what you want. Of course, he will provide what you want. You have the faith that Krishna will provide what we want. Right? So many instances by the disciple of Srila Prabhupada. When I telling about this, I just remember um, a pastime of Shyam Sundar Prabhu. They had no money to pay rent. They're nothing, right? They went to the UK, and suddenly, out of nowhere, this money just comes flying from somewhere and just falls in front of him. He just picks the money and it's enough for the rent. More than that, actually. So Krishna will definitely provide. He's Lakshmipati. Yes. Lakshmi Sahasrashra Sambrahma Sevimanam. Thousands of Lakshmi serve him. They don't die for money of him. As money also is part of material nature and material energy, right? Krishna can produce. He doesn't need any raw materials. He can produce out of thin air, if you want, could say, right? It's everything is his energy. So the so-called material world can be converted to spiritual world when this Krishna consciousness is there. And so everything should be used for Krishna's pleasure. So this whole world, material world in itself, is like, we say in being part of as a Brahmical quality, devotees, what they do, as some devotees which I know, they do tarpan. They take water, especially when they go to sea or any river body, they take water, offer to some god, and then pour it back. What are you doing? You're offering the water again and pouring back again. What is this? It's, everything is Krishna's energy and should be used for Krishna's energy. It should be used for Krishna's service or for our service. So over this whole material world, when we do an offering, we need ingredients. When we make some sabji, we need ingredients to make sabji. So this whole world is like ingredients to serve Krishna. We use all what all we have to serve Krishna from this material world, whatever ingredients we have. With Krishna, there is no distinction between spiritual and material energy. For Krishna, there's no difference. Everything is his energy. But we use whatever we have, whatever we can, whatever is available to serve Krishna. We should not be like the Mayavadis who reject material things. Oh, this all Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Everything is false. Everything is Maya. We can't use this. This is all false. Everything. No. Our philosophy of what Prabhupada gave is Yukta Vairagya. It's whatever, however, whenever, in service of Krishna. We do not say, oh, this is material sadness, material thing, or we can't use of Krishna. No, if it can be used for Krishna, use it. Then that thing will become spiritualized. Right? That's the process of Krishna consciousness. Use whatever you have in service of Krishna. That's it. So now, and by doing that, Lord Vishnu says in Narad Muni when asked, Lord Vishnu, oh Lord, where can I find you? He says, Lord Vishnu says, Naham Tishtami Vaikunthe, Yogi Nam Hridaye Shiva, Yatra Gayanti Mad Bhakta, Tatta Tishtami Narada. You won't find me in Vaikuntha. You won't find me in the hearts of yogis. Where will you find me? Yatra Gayanti Mad Bhakta, wherever the devotees chant and glorify me, that is where that is where I am. So wherever Lord Vishnu, Krishna is, that is Vaikuntha, Goloka Vrindavan. Right? Prabhupada wanted each and temple to be like Vrindavan. So wherever we chant and glorify Krishna, that place is non-different than Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavan. So by using this material, whatever material things we have, in terms of nature, whatever we have, when we use that in service of Krishna, then we actually spiritualize the entire atmosphere. Right? It doesn't remain in the material world. It may seem like we are in the material world, but it's totally spiritualized because it's permeating with Krishna consciousness. It's permeating with the chanting of the holy name. It's permeating with the Krishna's holy name, Krishna's glorification. So, in the higher sense, there's no material world. Prabhupada says this in Chandogya Upanishad. As hearing my lecture, it says, "Sarvam khalav idam Brahma." Everything is Krishna, and everything is Krishna's energy. As I mentioned, there's no difference for Krishna or this material, this spiritual. No, there's no difference for Krishna or it's material, spiritual. So Krishna's energy is not different from Krishna also. Know that, right? So because Krishna is absolute, Krishna's energy and Krishna And Krishna's name, fame, activities, paraphernalia, everything's absolute same. Okay? Just like some Prabhupada gives the example of sunshine and the sun. And this example is used in many different contexts, but here also it makes sense. So although the sun is millions and millions of miles away, we can still feel the heat, the energy of the sun. Right? We can understand the sun is complete heat and light. Although we cannot go to the sun, right? But by the sunshine we can understand, okay, sun is full of heat and light. Similarly, we can understand Krishna by his different energies. Parasya Shaktir Vibhudeva Shruyate. Which is multifarious energies. Multifarious energies. Yeah. So these plants, these creepers, they're all produced out of Krishna's energy. I'm taking advantage of them. So when you say advantage of them, it's not that, oh, this very different way of in English or in a current situation, we say, hey, let's take advantage of that person. Let's use that person for our benefit. No, that is not meaning advantage here. When you say like advantage of them, what it means is it's present right now. Okay, so it's better to, is it better to just leave it and not use it? No, let's take advantage of them means let's use it in service of Krishna. That is the advantage we're going to take. We're going to take advantage of Krishna because that's Krishna's energy. We're going to take advantage of that and use it in Krishna's service. Right? That is what we should do. So if you want to be happy, these things are required. Right? What is that? Ime jana padha svidha. Jana padha means cities and towns. We require cities and towns because we're a human being. We need some structures to live. We can't just live in the forest, at least like past we do, right? The cities, towns, and proper structure, alleyways, drainage, whatever. We need some proper structures to live. They're not like wild animals. Right? So there are certain uncivilized human beings. They are meant for living in the forest because they're not civilized. They cannot be a part of the common, society as such. They will live in the forest, but there's a small minority, you could say. But majority of them, the civilized people, and they require nice towns, cities, full of gardens, parks, nice roads, nice building. They're all, and I think we read it before as well in Srimad Bhagavatam, when Krishna enters, after this actually, when Krishna enters the city of Dwarka, there's a beautiful mention. Dwarka, the beautiful mention of how beautiful the buildings are, how multiple stories building, beautiful, the entire pathway is decorated with flowers, and there is so many beautiful description of Dwarka city, at least, and the coming chapters will come. So we need these buildings, garden, parks, and we know that Srila Prabhupada used to love walking in the gardens. And when we're hearing Srila Prabhupada memories, Prabhupada's, as we know, right, Prabhupada used to love go for early morning walks. And when we used to go, the devotee used to take in different places. And one of the favorite places of Srila Prabhupada was walking in the garden. And Prabhupada used to walk and chant and used to comment, such a beautiful garden. And no people. See, so empty. So empty, people should come come to walk in the morning, but this is so empty, no one is there. We should ask the municipal council to give us this park. We're going to develop it. we're going to make it nice Krishna conscious atmosphere. So, but Prabhupada used to love walking in the gardens. It's it's just natural when you are in the midst of a beautiful natural surrounding, you feel much more calm, much more serene, right? Than in the midst of concrete jungles. We feel actually much more calm, peace, and we can actually the sadhana or chanting gets more let's say powerful, at least for us, when we sit in natural surrounding than in the concrete jungles. So these are some samples, right, about the Janadipa. I mean, Jana Pada means roads, right? So formerly great kings, they had these big gardens and houses and stuff, and we get all the information from Vedic literatures, of course, right, about in these great kings in the past. So we should be very eager to become happy, even in the cities and towns, with the help of these things. Right? Aushadhi Virudha, then forest, Adri, Nadi. Nadi means the rivers, but nowadays we have It's so polluted. And fortunately, because of this COVID, there has been some purification. Now Yamuna is flowing so cleanly, so beautifully. We can actually see through Yamuna. Ganga is being so clean because we are the ones polluting. We are not going out. We are not using that many resources. We are not dumping out things. They are very clear. At least Yamuna is very clear right now. So by modern civilization, there's so many rivers in Europe, in France, in Moscow, or any Thames rivers in London, or any of the big river. It's they become very dirty. What to speak of them in India also, pre-COVID. Just like we have pre-era, post-era, there will be pre-COVID and post-COVID era. The pre-COVID era, whatever, very dirty, right? Extremely dirty. I mean, we actually sense that's external manifestation. For Ganga, the river Ganga, we say, oh, so dirty. Well, that's what we see externally, right? But the potency still remains. For the potency of the river of Ganga doesn't dilute because some dirty things have mixed in, just like Vrindavan. In scriptures, we say Kantat Kusami writes beautifully, oh, each and every stone is a Chintamani. Each tree, every tree is Kalpavriksha in Vrindavan. And we may say, what is this? Where is this Kalpavriksha? Where is this? I can see normal stone, right? We may not see because it's covered. It's covered. Until we are not purified, Vrindavan will not manifest in front of us in that actual form of Chintamani Dhama. Right? So we may see that it's dirty and everything, but it's not that Ganga will be potency always there, so let's dump everything. Well, but Ganga will not be anyway, contaminated anyway. So what's the point? There's no problem. Let's contaminate it. Let's put out everything. No, that's not the point. It's just exactly saying that this is like saying, Prabhupada gives in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita that we are not the body, we're the soul. So if we kill someone, we're not actually killing the soul, we're just killing the body. So people may think, oh, nice. So I'm not killing the person actually, right? I'm just killing the body. So we can kill anyone we want. Prabhupada says there is not a license to kill anyone, anybody. Just because we know that we're not the body and soul, so doesn't we can just go and harm others. There's not license for that. Similarly, just because we know that Ganga will not be contaminated by material things, we should not just dump whatever we want in Ganga or Yamuna. We should still keep clean our surroundings. So you cannot take bath as well. Taking the bath, at least when you take bath, since our body is material, we will get affected by it. Right? Prabhupada used to do very nicely. He showed take water, 3 drops on the head, done. And devotees were like, well, that's it. We're like, we're ready with the gamchas and everything, and then Prabhupada comes and just turn and go back. Then Prabhupada is very expert. He used to show very nicely how to utilize the things, and take bath as well. 3 drop bathing. So these pollutants and the rivers and the oceans, all because of our industrialization, right? So how long the water will be clear? The rivers, at least the rivers in city, they should be kept very clean. But it's the exact opposite. We dump everything or to our water bodies because it's nowhere else to dump into. So but we cannot keep them clean because we have so many dirty activities, enterprises, we have mills, factories, so many things. And each of the industries, they have a byproduct. And this byproduct, most of them are not useful. This byproduct, you just squeeze out everything and just waste. And where to put waste, they put land, even if they put landfill, well, landfill get overfilled, right? How much? We know that majority portion of our globe, Earth, is covered by water. How much can we fill by land? Just put on land. Well, Earth is, river is, ocean is so big, then nothing will happen. Just keep putting, no one will notice. This is like Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentioned, be like the ocean. Do not be like the small ponds. Be like the ocean. So even when rivers enter into ocean, the ocean will overflow. So when they know that ocean don't overflow when we dump so many things. Just put everything inside. So we should not be doing that. So hundreds and thousands of people still take bath in the Ganges though, because that's their faith. Okay? And they keep very good health. So in India, you'll find all the important cities in India, like at least in previous times, many of the flourishing cities, they used to be the bank of the rivers. They used to be on the bank of rivers. Many flourishing cities. Chanakya Pandit says, don't go to a town and city where there is no river and where there is no friend and there is no temple. Don't go to the city if there is no river, no friend, no temple. This Chanakya Pandit. Chanakya Pandit, Prabhupada quotes Chanakya Pandit a lot and says, don't go to these places where we don't have river, friend. At least we have to live in Portland, right? Not Hillsborough, Beaver anyway, but time, place, circumstances, we should adapt ourselves. But we should go to a place where there's no river, there's no friend, and there's no temple. Well, Prabhupada came to exact same place where there's no river, there's no temple, and there's no friend. Prabhupada came all the way. He crossed an ocean to be at a place where there's no river. He crossed and came to US, and it's not river, temple, it's hell. We call this hellish place, right? Full of sinful activities. He came to exact places where Chanakya Pandit said, do not go. And he converted that place, such a nasty place, that none other than Vaikuntha, spiritual place. He converted. This is where pure devotee in Srimad Bhagavatam is mentioned that just by association of a pure devotee, just a moment's association of pure devotee, you can entirely be transformed. Whereas you can only be purified by the Ganga after prolonged use. Right? So what is the comparison being made here? If you say, oh, we should take the Ganga, we can be purified by Ganga water, right? Yeah, we will be purified, but only after prolonged use. But on the other side, just a moment's association of pure devotee will become immediately purified. That is the power of association of pure devotee. And Srila Prabhupada, when he came to the US, of course, he was a pure devotee. And just by association, just by chanting, if we go right now under a tree, if we start chanting, people give 2 coins and just go. There's no transformation, we're not so pure. The purity is a force, and Prabhupada had that in abundance. He was the personification of Krishna's empowerment. He was fully empowered by Krishna to come here and make and change this dirty place. US is none other than US is a dham actually now, because Prabhupada's lotus footprint is all over the US. Not the US, all over the world. He went wherever he went, it's none other than dham. So Prabhupada has purified this place by moment's association. If you put Ganga water to everyone 100 times, still they won't be purified. But Prabhupada changed everyone. Right? So that is the potency of Srila Prabhupada. Right? So yeah, don't go to a river or town in general, but we have, by Prabhupada's mercy, we have temples, at least we have devotee Sangha almost at every place in the world. They may not be river, but those devotees are our friends. They are our well-wishers. We know, of course, you must have experienced this. When you go to a new place and you see devotees, Hare Krishna, and they say, oh, Hare Krishna devotee, and they just come, and, oh, chalo, get prasad, they will feed you, they will take care of you so wonderfully. That's Shri Prabhupada's mercy. So we should be happy with these things. Cities and towns does not mean big slaughterhouses or cinemas or brothel or factories or all dirty things. So in the prayers of Queen Kunti Rani prays that I'm reading this. There you go. Yeah. Yep. Now Kunti Rani, when she prays, she doesn't pray that, oh, we have so many beautiful rivers, gardens, everything. But Kunti Rani doesn't pray that, oh, there's no mention of slaughterhouse anywhere. Right? There's no mention of slaughterhouses. Kunti Rani doesn't pray that. So Kunti says, Ime jana padha sriddha supak vaushadhi virudha. She never said that. These towns and cities are flourishing on account of so many industries, slaughterhouses, brothels, and blah blah blah. Everything not like that. There's no such thing in those days. It's all just a product of modern, industrialization or whatever, right? This modern invention is to make the world more hellish. So recently, reading a letter by Yashamantirandan Prabhu, my dear disciple Srila Prabhupada left his body yesterday. He wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. He was glorifying Srila Prabhupada. It's one of the most beautiful letters I've ever seen and ever read. How he explains he writes which each and every step, the people outside, they're taking one step towards degradation. Right? Taking each and every step, but not being Krishna consciousness, in not being in Krishna consciousness, they're taking one step towards degradation. And I would have been in the same boat, if not you had picked, if because only because you have picked me from this, you chose me to be a spiritual son, I got saved from that, path down towards degradation. He says they all the royal march to hell. And Prabhupada used this word also in the Bhagavad Gita when he says last three gateway to hell, royal pathway to hell, right? So this modern invention are making the world more hellish. If you want to be rich, then you can get riches. Where from? In this verse, when it says Vanadri Nadi Udvantaha. Right? Vana Adri Vana and Nadi. Vana Adri Nadi Udvantaha. Udvanta means seas, Nadi means river, Vana means forest. So from seas, from rivers, hills, forest, we can get all the riches. With the minerals, where do we still get minerals from? Either from the seas, we have pearls and stuff, or from minerals, we have gold mines. Everything is in the mountains or the seas, from the hills. Everything's still there. Right? We can get valuable jewels, gems, pearls, or from these natural resources. And formerly, India was extremely wealthy. Right? It depended on gold, silver, jewel, pearls, silk. We had so much abundance of natural wealth in India. In previously, long years ago, and before the British came, at least one of the largest contributors to the world economy, so to say, it was India, right? And British came and just took everything away. So from the forest, from the herbs, from food grains, all natural product, right? This new trend, go vegan, go natural, go natural. That's now people are coming to, it's like they had tube light, and some tube lights have actually become static now. बोलते ना tube light जल गया, we say, right? Now they're getting some attention. Oh yeah, we should go natural. We should eat natural food. We should eat natural things. We should natural these, that, etc. Vegans, all this stuff from the previous mentality, where everything was, oh, let's make artificial, faster production and all this stuff. So from the river, the saintly persons depended mostly on the riverside. Anywhere they will put a cottage on the river. We know so many examples. Vedavyas was on the banks of the river. Vasudev, while compiling Srimad Bhagavatam. Well, and so many sages, they put their cottages on the river side. So a saintly person, if he wants to remain in a secluded place, they select some place which small cottage, riverside, and on may not be now. At least previously there should be a lot of places on the bank side, but we believe like that. So when Narad Muni made the hunter a disciple, you know that hunter, right? He dragged him to riverside, Ganges, and gave him a tulsi plant, and they said, "You sit down here and chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and tulsi plant is here. You offer obeisances." Then he was very much anxious because he was a hunter. He has stopped his main business. The hunter's main business is to kill. So he was thinking, my spiritual master may not cheat me. He has stopped my business. He has broken my bows and arrows, and now he has dragged me here to sit down and chant Hare Krishna. So the hunter asked Narad Muni, Guru Maharaj, then what about my food? I'm sit down here, or Narada assured him that. Narada said, do not bother, right? I'll send you your food. You just sit here and chant. I'll send you your food. So he was still doubtful. He had still, not implicit faith in his spiritual master. Anyways, so this news spread far and wide. A hunter has become Vaishnava. Out of curiosity, people start coming. Hey, Connie, who is this person? Hunter become Vaishnava. How can hunter become Vaishnava? Hey, this come. And when one is a Vaishnava, he's no longer a hunter, belong to any caste. People will say hunter Vaishnava. This Vaishnavas are above this Brahmana Kshatriya. They are above the social caste, the orders, varnas, right? So, and people used to come. They used to bring, oh, so nice, here's some food. And naturally, the all food people started offering. Right? That's the power of a Vaishnava under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Because when the spiritual master gives instruction, spiritual master doesn't give only the instruction, because with instruction comes the potency to execute the instruction. These are the instruction, okay, now what to do? How can I do this? I don't know how to do this. No. With the instruction comes the potency to execute the instruction. Do we have the faith, though? And that's what Srila Prabhupada's disciples had. The three couples who went to London to start a center there. Prabhupada said, oh, Shyam Sundar, Janaki, all these devotees, Gurudas, we go London and preach. Said, yes, sir. Yes, Prabhupada. And just went. They don't say, Prabhupada, but what about where will you stay? Prabhupada, what about money? What about this? No questions asked. Prabhupada said, it will happen. That's the faith. If someone says to me like that, I'll say, oh, but I don't have money. How will I go? Now should I beg money? And I won't be able to do that at all. They had implicit faith in the word of the spiritual master, in the instruction of the spiritual master, and just took off. Right? So the custom of the grahasthas, when a grahastha goes to a saintly person, there should be some gift. And never mind how insignificant it is. We should never go to a house empty-handed. It's one of the etiquettes, always bring something. Maybe a flower, something we should bring. That's or at least back in the olden days, they should give grains or a dal or pulses or something. You should give something. We shouldn't go empty-handed to a house. So if one comes to temple, right? If we have so many things, we can bring something for deities also. We should bring something to our deities. Flower also. We're already coming, offering all the best thing we offer ourselves. But how successful we are in that regard, we're still in the process, right? But if we should bring something as token of gratitude. Oh, Krishna, about something for you. Krishna doesn't need anything. He's Atma Ram. Everything is his. Right? But just like when a child, when saves pocket money, and finding, oh, I had this pocket money, I'll begin to buy something. I'm buying big chocolate. And your dad, chocolate for you. His father will say, oh, thanks, it's for me. Oh, thank you so much. The dad becomes so happy. Right? Just begin talking. Well, it's actually the dad's money by which he got chocolate and giving to dad. They'll say, hey, it's my money. Why are you giving me this chocolate? Father won't say that. Father will become extremely happy. All this wealth, whatever is, all Krishna's energy. When we use this to serve Krishna, Krishna becomes very happy. Oh, thank you so much. You're taking so much effort to utilize these ingredients, utilize these resources to serve me. Thank you so much. And Prabhupada says, Krishna doesn't need any service. He's reading Chaitamrita. He says, Krishna doesn't need any service. It's for our purification that Krishna is allowing us to serve him. Or else, because if you don't get a chance to serve Krishna, there's no way of purification for us so that we can go back to Godhead. We can go back to Krishna. There's no way. Only by serving him, we can only then we can go back to Krishna. And Krishna doesn't need service. So it's kind of very weird situation. So Krishna doesn't need service, but we have to offer him service. That is Krishna's compassionate nature, magnanimity. He is giving us a chance to serve by using so many wonderful things which are abundant in nature. Right? So I'll stop 56. I'll stop in a minute. So and see what I have. So for Vaishnava who is dependent on Krishna, there is no want. There cannot be yoga kshima mahamyam. Krishna provides whatever we lack and carry whatever we have. So if one is actually dependent on Krishna, there's no question of scarcity. This is Sukadeva Goswami's instruction as well in Srimad Bhagavatam. This mark is 2.2.5. It says, Kasmat bhajanti kabayo dhana durma dhanam durma dhandham. He says to send the persons to become independent. Right? Why are anxious for wedding? Right? This is a very exalted stage. Just making a clarification. This very exalted stage, and this beautiful example of this is Shiva's Thakur in Chaitanya in Gaur Lila. He never used to go out, even though he's a grasta, he never went out for a job, to work, to get food for his family or not. He would just every day come out in the morning, clap. 3 times he would clap. If his food comes, okay, we'll have to offer to Krishna for prasad. If not, fasting. Totally dependent on Krishna. Totally dependent on Krishna. That's how Shiva's Thakur was, right? So I just conclude the verse which we read today. All the cities and villages are flourishing in all respects because the herbs and grains are in abundance. And I will just like to make one point. This is the same or a very similar instruction in Srimad Bhagavatam. I think when Krishna is about to appear, right? So the beautiful description Krishna, I'm just taking Krishna book in second paragraph. It says when Krishna is about to appear, it says at the time, in all directions, east, west, south, north, everywhere, there's atmosphere of peace and prosperity. That's exactly what we're talking about, right? Peace and prosperity. There are auspicious stars visible in the sky and on the surface of the earth, in all towns and villages and pasturing grounds, and within the minds of everyone, there were signs of good fortune. The rivers were flowing full of waters. The lakes were beautifully decorated with lotus flowers. The forests were full with beautiful birds and peacocks. All the birds within the forest began to sing sweet voices, and the peacocks began to dance along with their consorts. The wind blew very pleasantly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, and the sensation of bodily touch was very pleasing. At home, the Brahmanas who were accustomed to offering sacrifices in the fire found their homes very pleasant for offerings. Due to the disturbances created by the demoniac kings, the sacrificial fire had been stopped in the houses. But now they could find the opportunity to start the fire peacefully. These are all signs when Bhagavan Krishna is appearing. Everything was peaceful, prosperity, rivers were full, grains were full. It was in abundance. Exactly what Kunti Maharani is saying here. Because of presence, rivers are overflowing, the fields are full of minerals and everything. And just by your leaving, everything will just go away with that. So please do not leave. So this is what Kunti Maharani's prayers are, and I think very ending the prayers pretty soon. And the next verse is very, very beautiful verse as well. So thank you so much for giving me a chance to speak something, even though I'm not qualified at all, on Srimad Bhagavatam, this beautiful, glorious, exalted verse of Kunti Maharani's prayers. Please forgive me if I made any mistakes. If anything good came out of it, so all the mercy of my spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada. And if any mistakes are there, it's all because of me. Thank you so much, everyone. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, any comments, any corrections for sure, please correct me.
Krishna, there's time for questions, comments.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Corrections are more welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I think it's very nice lecture. I really enjoyed it. I think what struck me was not rejecting the material aspects of the world, instead actually use it for the pleasure of Krishna, for making him happy, right? So that brings a lot of assurance that, look, we don't need to reject all this and go away, when we can as well be very much in the world. And as long as we we dovetail our efforts into Krishna's pleasure and Krishna's happiness. I think that is very much counted. And another thing what you talked about is being a parent, right? I could relate to that, right? Since we are all children of God, so even if a child wants to move away from the parent, we always have that anxiousness in to ensure that they are doing good, right? So we will provide them everything that we can. So similarly, Krishna is actually doing it. So it's very much relatable as a parent. Now I can actually see, oh man, how is Krishna actually helping us, with all these things? I mean, when I came in here, I mean, I didn't create sun, I didn't create nothing, right? We didn't create any of these natural resources, and they're all here. We're all taking it for granted. Of course, due to COVID, now because of the smoke also, no, we got to see, oh man, we cannot even breathe the fresh air, right? So now we can appreciate certain things,
Yes.
uh, right? So thank you, really appreciate that. Very
Thank
nice.
you so much for the wonderful realization, Prabhu. Thank you so much for sharing.
Hare Krishna Prabhu,
Hare
very
Krishna,
nice
Mataji.
lecture. I mean,
Thank you, Mataji.
I don't know how the time went, and it really, I wish you could keep going. You could keep going, and the point that Krishna provides everything. I mean, it's just amazing. Like, and you gave examples that really was really. Your lectures are always good, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Very kind, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye. Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Manasikanda Mataji is appreciating.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
She says, thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. Very nicely mentioned. Many points such as significance of association of pure devotees and proper chanting. Comes from material problems finding Krishna Seva. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So if then no more comments, anything, we can maybe stop here, Prabhuji. By your
This verse is.
Thank you for giving a class full of Krishna. Wonderful.
I'm learning from you, Prabhu. Learning from all devotees like you, Prabhu. Nothing I know. I'm most dumbest person you could ever find. All because of worship of devotees like you, Prabhu. Thank you for encouraging me, inspiring me. Thank you.
Thank you. Very wonderful.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you for the complete explanation of all aspects of this verse and the vision of a devotee.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I was reading yesterday teachings of Kunti, and Srila Prabhupada says something very nice. He says, Kunti Devi, praise to the Lord. His prosperity is due to your glance.
Yes.
Then he goes on to say, when we sit in the temple of Krishna, Krishna glances over us and everything is nice.
Okay.
When sincere souls start to become Krishna's devotees, Krishna very kindly comes before them in his full opulence and glances upon them, and they become happy and beautiful.
Yeah, Prabhu.
And then
Just back when.
Yeah, then he quotes that verse Maya Dakshena Prakriti, the famous verse 9.10.
Yep.
And two things I always find amazing about Krishna's potency in creation is how he can create yet remain unaffected by his creation. And how we, maybe as devotees or even in the mundane material world, how we create something, we immediately take ownership of it,
Yeah.
become a doer. And Krishna shows by personal example the problem with that kind of mentality. So that's one thing I was always impressed by and humbled by Krishna's immense potency. Srila Prabhupada says in teaching Kunti, how many of us can say just by our transcendental glance that my wife became pregnant, or pregnant? And not possible. So his potency, but his ability to remain supposedly neutral.
Yeah.
But we see in Kunti's prayers that he's not just neutral, he's very loving. And that he's what Srila Prabhupada says. I really like Srila Prabhupada's words, like where he says, she desires that God's mercy be bestowed upon them so that natural prosperity be maintained by His grace.
Yeah.
So there's a very loving, like you pointed out, the nature of the Father. That, okay, you want to go out to the material world. That wonderful section of Bhagavatam, Gita on Yajna, how the Lord sends us into this world, but He not sends us empty-handed.
Yes.
The process, what Srila Prabhupada calls in this verse, natural laws rather than laws of nature, which is what all the scientific stuff is. So, thank you for.
Thank you so much for wonderful direction. Thank you so much.
No,
Thank you for the highlight.
Thank you. Explain.
Prabhuji, since we have a lot of devotees here, I just want to ask one question. How do we address, for example, at times when we're doing these practices and all that stuff, there is a little bit of ego that comes in. Oh, you know what? I'm getting to do this, right? So a bit of ego comes in, then okay, that is start feeling good about yourself, and in the sense that oh, I'm doing so many things, right? So how do we address that?
Okay. So first of all, we should understand when we do something like, oh, I did this. Is it that one way to understand what we did or how we did is that's why it was the 10th chapter, the opulence of the absolute. Krishna says, Aksharam ke, Shabda ke, Paurusham Shru. I am the ability in man. So when you read, okay, I did this. But how do I do this? It's my ability. Where is it coming from? It's Krishna. So remember, for example, Arjuna, after Krishna left this world, Krishna left for his spiritual planet, Golok Vrindavan. Arjuna went to Dwarka to all the queens of Krishna. They went to, oh, you come with me. I will protect you. I will take you to Hastinapur. On the way, couple of coward men came. And they started attacking, trying to capture the queens. Now, Arjuna could not even put a bow in the air. He could not even hold the bow. He forgot everything. He could not hold it. How do I even hold the bow? How do I shoot? He forgot. And he was defeated. Arjuna, Dhananjaya, the conqueror of wealth. He got defeated by a couple of coward people. That great archer, right, got defeated by coward people. He could not even put a bow, arrow on the bow and on the string and shoot. So he understood that I had all this potency because Krishna gave me that. When Krishna left, everything went away. So Krishna takes the potency when it's required, takes the ability when it's required, and gives us when it's required. When we get proud of that, we should understand that this ability what we have can be taken in just a nimisha matra, just within a second. And Krishna doesn't, if you are actually practicing devotee, Krishna doesn't like pride in his devotee. Krishna will crush that. The pride is one of the is extremely problematic. Krishna doesn't like pride at all. That is one of the reasons. Well, the Govardhan, the pastime of Govardhan Hill, Krishna wanted to crush the pride of Indra. Right? So Krishna doesn't tolerate pride. And if we think that I am the doer, first of all, Krishna says, because under the modes of material nature and the influence of material nature, we think we are the doer. Right? And because if we think like that, Krishna will show us, or we will be put in a situation where we understand, oh, I could everything, I could do everything, but I could not do also. We will put in a helpless situation. Well, so there are multiple ways people understand. So there are 3 different levels. One is the best way to learn is by hearing. Oh, Krishna says, oh, I heard this in Srimad Bhagavatam that I feel proud. Okay, if you ascended by that, well and good. Second is you do it and understand. Oh, I did it. Oh, I couldn't do everything possible. Still, I could not do it. I had all the ability, but I still could not perform that action. You learn by activity. The third is you do particular activity and still don't learn it. That is third class person. So when you understand that the ability what we have to do something is from Krishna, and the example of Arjuna is extremely vivid. That greatest archer could not even put an arrow in the bow because Krishna took the ability. It's for the person like Arjuna. So what do people like us and become proud? That ability can be taken away just in a moment, in a moment. So we are extremely fragile in that sense. We can't guarantee that the ability which we have right now will be there next moment. We should be thankful for what we did. When we did, I heard one devotee saying that whatever, let's say you did something good, immediately you should, Krishna, thank you so much. Because of you, I did this. Anything you do, immediately, do not wait. Because the moment you wait, the longer you wait, that ego just creeps up in. Oh, yes, hey, you did, man. Come on, let's go, you did it. That creep out. The moment you say, Krishna, thank you so much, the ego will just suppress down. They're just putting Krishna in the front and the ego just, oh no. And Krishna's weight is extremely hard. The ego won't be able to rise up because of Krishna's weight. When you actually put Krishna inside and we give Krishna the credit. If you do anything big, you do anything. Krishna, thank you. Because of you, only because of you I did this, it's not possible. Krishna, only because of you I did this, it's not possible. Because of you, Krishna, that's it. Because of you, Krishna, because of you, Krishna, because of you, Krishna, 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 that's it. Put Krishna in the middle of each and everything, the ego will be there. Won't be able to get up. Just like Krishna crushes the pride. Krishna will crush that ego, the pride. I will not come up. If we understand that the ability, Purusham Nishu, and the ability in man, and if required, I will take that ability. And if needed, I will give you. It's not permanent. Each and every one we have to understand. It's a conscious effort. It will take some time to consciously we have to understand whatever we do, give Krishna the credit. Give Krishna the credit for each and everything we do. That is, as I said, it's a conscious, but we have to put it again and again. We have to remind ourselves to do that. It may not come naturally at first, of course, right? We have been so away from doing that. So we have to bring back. Krishna says, a mind, beautifully Krishna says, when the mind goes away, bring it back. And what Krishna is saying that mind will go away. That's the quality of the mind, the property of the mind. Mind will go away. It's not the mind will stay, mind will go away. But when it goes away, bring it back. Similarly, when our ego, when we think they're coming up, put immediately Krishna in the center and say, thank you, Krishna. And they will humble us. And in that, there's one of the most potent ways to actually curb our pride, saying that what we did. Does that help, Prabhu?
Absolutely, thank you. I think this is very practical. Yeah. So whenever any feeling like that happens, just
Krishna,
surrender to
fully
Krishna.
because
Thank
of you. That's it.
Got it. Got it.
That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that's a wonderful explanation. I really like the example that Narottama Vilasa Prabhu took of how Arjuna realized how dependent he was on Krishna when he failed to do the most simplest of tasks. But Ravi Prabhu, I'd also like to say that you just recognizing this ego within us recognizing this ego, this doership mentality in our heart is also being conscious of Krishna. Because if you weren't conscious of Krishna, you would never even recognize that, hey, wait a minute, this thing which is detrimental to my progress sits there. So that's the beauty of Krishna consciousness, is that I'm not a perfected soul, and I don't have the capability to serve Krishna as he deserves. But at least one, through the instructions of the Shastras and our Acharyas, understands, hey, this is where I'm at. And it's nice to be honest and say, this is where I'm at. I have attachment, and so I praise you for understanding that this exists within your heart. I read a very nice thing where the analogy is humility is like the eyelid. You know how the eyelid you never see, but if you don't have it, the eye is not protected. So if humility, is something subtle that actually protects us. So I thank you for even thinking about that. There's so many things to say about that particular aspect, but I really like the example Arjun feeling helpless. And that was Arjun's potency. So, thank you.
One beautiful example, one quote I was hearing is, when men work, they work. But when men pray, God works. So praying is extremely important. Right? When we actually pray, God works. God, Krishna helps, helps us in that endeavor. As you mentioned, that ability to identify itself is a very big step. Thank you.
There's
Thank
this
you
nice
very much.
there's this nice example, right, of that in Srila Prabhupada's pastime where he tells the devotees, you may all fall down from Krishna consciousness. Right? Every devotee knows this statement, but I'll never fall down. Srila Prabhupada says this, and devotees accept it because he's obviously a pure devotee. Like Narottama Vilasa Prabhu said, how many of us can sit under a tree and chant, and by our attachment to the holy name, draw an entire, population from the world, let alone even one person. If you go in book distribution or you chant, you see that, it's a shower for the false ego. But, devotees subsequently saw Srila Prabhupada praying at the feet of the deities intensely. And they said, Srila Prabhupada, what's going on? And Srila Prabhupada said, I was praying that may I never fall down. They said, wait a minute, you just told us that you can never fall down. And like Narottama Vilasa Prabhu said, Srila Prabhupada said, yes, because I'm praying constantly to Krishna that may I never, step away from his service. So nice things. Okay, does anybody else want to comment or share? Or, this is called churning the nectar, I think, is what some people call it. If not, Narottama Vilasa Prabhu, thank you very much for your generous